What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's RBC Heritage. I always think there should probably be a bye week after a major championship for decompression and running the numbers and just like taking a beat. But the show must go on. I will say this: if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm still in Augusta, so I'll be headed out here shortly. Just an absolute stellar week. I don't need to tell you that. The term instant classic gets thrown around way too much. That was an instant classic. It was historic. It was came down to the wire. It was entertaining. It was everything. The chance to be here for it was incredible, and really, only in thanks to you, right? People who care about this enough to watch and allow me to do things like this. So it's just another great hat tip to you guys, and we're 364 days away from the Masters, right? Can't wait to get back. But we do have work to do. We've got work to do for the RBC Heritage. It is a signature event. There's actually a couple of events this week. There's the Volvo China Open. There's the Corrales Punta Cana Championship. And I will note this. I'm going to move the live chat, the Wednesday live chat, back to 3 p.m. Eastern time for the foreseeable future. Tested it out on Tuesday. I admittedly didn't really like it. I think it was objectively a worse product because it was in an awkward time, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I want it to be that Wednesday time slot that we've gotten so accustomed to. So you'll see that reflected for this week. Additionally, if you are a fan of the Second Cut podcast, which is our pet project that we started up after the conclusion of the first cut, that is going to go into 3 times per week this week. So for the first time, we're off and running with Tuesday episodes, Friday episodes, Sunday episodes. That will be some more analysis with guys and voices that So subscribe to that YouTube channel. It's in the description as well. But yeah, really just excited about the next couple weeks, next few years, right? Like a lot of cool stuff happening, and we're just going to continue to do the best that we can. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this week, and let's start with the golf course. There's probably not a bigger contrast from one golf course to another. Augusta National, wide open for the most part, wide open off the tee. Obviously, it's a longer golf course, all that stuff. Harbour Town is not that. Right, Harbour Town is a positional golf course. Harbour Town has small fairways and dog legs and trees that overhang those fairways. So not only do you have to be in the fairway, but you have to give yourself a chance to hit these greens. These greens are tiny, 3,700 square feet on average. I think only Pebble Beach is smaller on the PGA Tour. I want to point out one thing here. So this is the course key stats tool. This is my website, RickRunGood.com. We had a banner week last week. Looking forward to continuing that. So yeah, appreciate the support over at RickRunGood. The approach play here. So it ranks 7th, which means it is there are only 6 other courses in which strokes gained approach is more correlated to success than at Harbour Town. Strokes gained approach is a highly, highly valuable stat. Every single week it is a valuable stat, but particularly here at Harbour Town, it becomes even more valuable. Oh, Rick, why is that? Well, I think there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, the small greens. We've already talked about that. You are just going to miss more greens. You just have to be more precise. You have to be more accurate. Okay, no problem there. The other thing is this. Because of the way that this is a positional golf course, a lot of approaches come from the same spots. Right. So think about this. If a golf tournament was just entirely like I started you 15 feet away from the hole on the putting greens, the best putters would separate, right? Everybody putting from the same spot. Well, now I move you back a little bit, like let's call it 100 yards from the fairway, or 150 yards from the middle of the fairway. If we put everybody there, well, then the best approach players are going to win, right? Or at least they're going to have the best chance to separate themselves. And that's kind of what's happening here. So let me click through a couple of holes, and you'll see this is the shot tracker. You can see the plot of where these shots are coming from. Number one, the fairway runs out. Everybody plays to the same like 15 or 20 yard. Like how far? Hold on, I can do this. How far is this? Well, that's 50 yards. I guess that's probably bad. But like here, where all these are, it's like a 20 yard, right? Everybody within those 20 yards there. Number 2, everybody in the same spot. Number 3, everybody in the same spot. 5, the dog leg left, similarly. The only one, 6, same thing. The only one that is really different, look at 8, is 9. And 9 gives you the option, right? So you have these guys up here who hit driver on 9 of a shortish par 4, 330 some odd yards. You see those guys that push it up, and then you have the group that lays back. This is really the only hole in which you are going to see a difference here. And quite honestly, just anecdotally, I'd have to run the numbers on this. Kind of looks like the guys that lay back make birdie more often. I don't know. I'd have to run the numbers on that. I'm just looking at the plots on the screen. Again, here, everybody plays from the same spot, same spot, same spot, same spot. I mean, I know this is kind of similar for you know, a lot of PGA Tour events, guys play from the same spots, but this is exaggerated. It really is. There's 18 as well. Fairway runs out. It's the dog legs. It's the way that the you know, you don't need to push it up. The more you push it up, the more you have to kind of work it in different directions. So I think that those are the two things that make strokes gained approach really valuable for this week, which is no surprise that when you go down to the adjusted course fit numbers like Scotty Scheffler, Shane Lowry, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Sepp Straka, even over the last 36 rounds, you take their stats, you apply it to the correlated stats of success, and those guys get the biggest boosts. Really no surprise at all when it comes to that. So let's take a deeper look at this field here. Like I mentioned, it's a signature event, so you are getting a smaller field, a no-cut event where guys are really going to be, you know, the cream is going to be rising to the top. And there's a lot of, you know, post-Masters discussion that we need to have about the way that these guys played and how it is going to look moving forward. So we've got 6 golfers over $10,000 here. It starts with Scotty Scheffler, who is finally cracks through that $13,000 mark, right? He is 13,100. It goes down to Patrick Cantlay at 10,000 with obviously a lot of big names in between. The Scotty Scheffler stuff is interesting because, you know, you know, every shot is available from last week, right? So if you want to go back and watch every single shot from last week, you can do it. My hunch, and because I saw a lot of Scotty Scheffler shots, is the reason that he lost strokes off the tee last week was because of that left miss with the driver. It is something that we saw early in 2025. It's not been nearly as good as the way he's driven it in 2024. Now, listen, he's awesome. He's like the best player in the world. But that got him into trouble, that left drive. I'm interested to see, like, you don't have to hit a ton of drivers around here if you don't want to. I'm interested to see if he just puts that club in the bag a little bit more often and he's still longer. You know, when we look at those plots, Scotty is going to be the guy, you know, closest, right? Yes, everybody's going to be playing from a 20 or 25 yard area, but maybe he's closer, so he gets a little bit of an extra boost because he can hit a shorter club and something like that. So you look at the way that he's played around Harbour Town, it's been splendid. T11 and a win in his only 2 trips. The only concern I have is that kind of more apparent left-hand miss. Everything else is great. I do like that they have him at 13,100. It's going to make building lineups around him a little bit more difficult, which I like a lot. Ludwig, Colin, Xander, JT, Patrick Cantlay are the rest of the 10K range. And as you can imagine, they're all very good options. They're the best players in the world. I just want to put a note on Xander Schauffele because he was someone I was heavily invested in last week. He notched another top 10 in a major championship, right? Got off to a little bit of a slow start on Thursday, still picked up a half a stroke to the field, and then was very good the rest of the way. Never really got into the mix, but I think that we can say the expectations for Xander moving forward are pretty high. You know, he was the second best player in the world last year. He won 2 major championships. He was brilliant. And now I think we can put to bed the concerns around that rib injury and the way that he has returned from it. His 5 trips around Harbour Town aren't great, but his last 2 are his best, 4th and T8. He's never missed a cut here, but the other 3 are finishes outside the top 30. So I'll be interested to see what the industry does here. I think you're probably going to see Scotty be pretty popular. You're probably going to see Ludwig be pretty popular. We can argue about Patrick Cantlay in a second because of his course history around this place. Xander's awkward, right? Xander's in an awkward spot. Hasn't played a ton of golf this year. Hasn't won. I think that is a very intriguing spot to go back to. I think he's completely healthy. Justin Thomas is here. And if I were Justin Thomas's caddy, I would step on the first tee box on Thursday morning and I would snap his driver over my leg, right? And just like, you are not hitting it here this week. And the good news is you don't really have to. The problem is he's so errant with that. Lost over 3 strokes off the tee at the Masters. Now has lost at least 2.5 strokes off the tee in 2 of his last 3. There are some similarities between Valspar, Innisbrook, and Harbour Town in the sense that once you start getting out of the fairway and start getting into the tree lines, you are in jail. You have real issues same thing at Innisbrook, right? So the idea that JT being boxed in a little bit with the driver, not having to hit it, relying on his precision, relying on his second shots, these are all good things. He's picked up strokes off the tee in 4 straight trips and 5 out of 6 to Harbour Town. So this goes back to a decade, but his he's played the last 3 years, and he's finished 35th, 25th, and 5th. That one was last year. I think the rest of his game is good enough. He's now picked up like 12 strokes putting in his last 3 starts. It really is just a matter of if he can keep the driver under control. And I think at this place, you don't have to use it as much. So really excited to see what he does. I bet you if I do, let's do this. Let's do everybody in this field since the start of 2025 by strokes gained approach. Where does JT rank? Okay, yeah, 3/4 of a stroke per round over 40 rounds. It's about 8th on this list. Very, very good number there. So I'm quite bullish about this being a better spot for JT. And then Cantlay, who I've been quite invested in over the course of the last couple of weeks, particularly 2 weeks ago for a victory. He ends up finishing 33rd. Is that right? Yeah, punted it away on the weekend. And then last week in a top 20 market, made a ton of birdies. Also offset them with a lot of bogeys. Lost 7 strokes around the green last week. I'm a sucker. I'm a fool and a sucker, but I see a golfer who has picked up basically 6 strokes or more on approach at the Players, at Valero, and at the Masters, which are his 3 most previous starts. He now comes back to Harbour Town, which is outside of TPC Summerlin, the best golf course in the world for him. He's never won here, but he has a podium finish in 3 straight years. He lost in a playoff to Spieth here in 22, I guess that was. He missed the cut in 2021, and then he has 3 other top 7 finishes before that. So that is 6 top 7 finishes in 7 starts. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I am ready to get fooled again, and if we get fooled for a 3rd time, it will be Patrick Cantlay's fault. It just will be something else. But if there was ever a 3rd chance, we've got the good ball striking numbers. You can't possibly lose 7 strokes around the green here. The history is magnificent. Fine. One more time. One more go around for Mr. Cantlay. Here's the 9K range, and it's really, really fascinating. So it's Corey Connors down to Victor Hovland. We've got a lot of things going on in here. I'm mostly fine with all of these guys, but I think there is starting to be a conversation of, and I think it's rightfully so, like how draining was the Masters for you, right? And Corey Connors was in the penultimate group, right, with Patrick Reed on Sunday. He was in the mix throughout. He was in it. Like Corey Connors had to play 4 rounds in the heat of the battle last week, and I thought he put on an amazing display. And now you go back 5 starts, even 6 starts, but let's just call it 5. 5 straight top 18 finishes. 4 of them are top 10s. That includes Bay Hill, it includes Sawgrass, it includes Augusta National. We are in no joke territory for Corey Connors right now. He's using that, I think it's a prototype from Ping, that putter, and he has picked up strokes in 5 of 6. This is the best putting performance he's ever put together in his career. When you think of Harbour Town and who should play well at it, on paper, it's a guy like Corey Connors who is... I had somebody tell me, I asked, we were kind of standing on the back of 10T as Reed and Connors were coming up there, and I was like, what's the line here? Like, what are they, because we lost some trees over there, so I was like, what's the line here? And someone said to me, just watch where Corey Connors' ball is. That's the line, because he'll be within like 1 yard of it either way, and spot on. Like it was. Yes, it was. This dude starts it online more than anybody else. He's a certified flusher. So I think we are going to run this until the wheels fall off. The really sneaky one here, I think, is Russell Henley. Again, Russell Henley and Corey Connors have very similar skill sets. They are prone to be accurate off the tee, elite on the second shot. Russell Henley missed the cut after a brutal Thursday at Augusta National where he lost 5.5 strokes. He picked up 4.5 on Friday and fell just short of the number. No problems whatsoever. That is about as good of a miscut as you're going to get. He is going to be well rested. He is going to be ready to go. He has finished inside the top 20 in 3 out of 4. Russell Henley, I'm going to click his name just so I have it here. Probably one of my favorites in this range, and definitely like above the $8,800 mark. You know, you have worries about a little bit of Shane Lowry and Tommy Fleetwood. Lowry faded down the stretch a little bit. You know, he's coming off of incredibly emotional Masters. Who knows how much time he and Tommy spent with Rory after that victory. But Shane struggled on Saturday down the stretch. Was brutal on Sunday. He lost 9 strokes to the field. He ended up finishing 42nd. I mean, he was in one of the, my goodness, he was in one of the last handful of groups, wasn't he? And to go out and shoot what he did on Sunday was not particularly good. And then Tommy has really lost the putter in his last 2. He's lost 9 strokes putting in combined over his last 8 rounds, which is a really bad sign on 2 different styles of golf courses. One was at TPC San Antonio, lost 5 strokes putting, not good. And then you know, at Augusta he loses 4.5. I won't beat him up over that, but I will beat him up over the 10 now, basically, that he's lost in 8 rounds. So plenty of concerns there. I think it is for me, Connors again, Henley again, and then Victor's down here at $9,000. I love the Victor scale he gave us, right? You know, I think he said last week his game was at like a 6.5 when he won the Valspar. And I think that it was, no, I think maybe he said it was a 4 at the Valspar, and it was a 6.5 before the Masters, and it was a 1 earlier in the year because it was non-functional, right? Like, just, you know, he's got this crazy scale. The only thing that went wrong for him was the driver at Augusta National. That was a new driver in the bag. It wasn't the worst, but he did lose a stroke, a 1.7. He's using a new ping driver now with a new shaft combination. This is, again, not necessarily a driver-heavy golf course. I guess the thing to look at for Victor here is he's been a ball striking maniac at this golf course in the 2 years that he's played it, as he is at most golf courses. So I think we are teetering on him being a really big contender week in and week out. Obviously, he just won 2 starts ago. Like the game is good enough. The other thing is, for this price, I love him as kind of like the second man in, right? Second man in who has legitimate winning upside. Would you rather have Victor Hovland or Jason Day? In terms of wins, probably Victor Hovland, right? Would you rather have Victor Hovland or Jordan Spieth? Victor Hovland. Would you rather have Victor Hovland and Tommy Fleetwood? Like, in terms of actual high-end upside, it's probably Victor Hovland over a lot of these guys. Now, Victor's bottom is probably lower at the moment, but if you're trying to build like a GPP winning lineup where you want that second man in to have legit winning upside, I believe that to be Victor Hovland. I've teamed up with DraftKings to share the good news that you can play free for millions in prizes. New customers can now deposit a minimum of $5 to play free for millions of bucks. If you've ever wanted to get involved, now's the time to do it. Use code RickDFS and I'll see you on DraftKings. The 2 most consistent golfers in this range this year have probably been Sepp Straka and Daniel Berger. Let's start with Berger here, and then we'll go to Straka, and then we might have to wrap it up with Sungjae. I don't know. There's kind of a lot going on here. But DB at the Masters, again, this is, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, look at the profile. It is green across the board, well-rounded, doing exactly what he always does. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, I'm describing it. He just gains off the tee, gains on approach, he gains around the green, he gains with the putter a lot, nearly every single round. And then when you add it up over a tournament, it almost looks like 4 green blocks in every single event, dating back to really quite some time, really to the beginning of the fall. So nothing has changed here. The only thing that has changed is we are going to a smaller field from last week, and we're going to a golf course that Daniel Berger has had a lot of success at. You know, in the last 3 trips, that dates back for him to 2020, he's got nothing worse than a T21. His best finish was that 2020 version at T3. I believe that was, gosh, correct me if I'm wrong. This was like the first event out of COVID. Right? First or second event out of COVID. I believe Wyndham won it that year. And then I believe and like everybody played it. It was absolutely stacked. Like Rory McIlroy, like it was the most stacked field we've ever seen, um, because guys had 90 days off. And then I think DB won the next week at Colonial is I think what the schedule was. So correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe that is the history of Daniel Berger at this event. But yeah, just playing great golf right now. Sepp Straka, we've got to figure out what direction he's going in. He misses the cut at the Masters. I rarely beat guys up for missing cuts at major championships, especially when you do it the way he did. Got smacked in the face in the first round, picked up nearly 2 strokes to the field in the second round. It just wasn't good enough. The 2025 for Sepp has been strong. Even after the victory at the American Express, he hasn't really slowed down. An ugly cut at Riviera or at Torrey Pines and a missed cut at the Masters. Other than that, I mean, just his 4 starts before the Masters, he was plus 4.5, plus 7.5, plus 8.7, plus 6.5. Sure, why not? Not a long hitter. You don't have to be. He's got 2 top 5 finishes in his last 3 trips. I feel like Sepp Straka to start 2025 was a nice shiny object that we were getting a lot of value on. Now he's $8,800. He's priced with a lot of guys that are kind of intriguing, but Sung Jae Im, who's been miserable in 2025, has an outlier, has a really great start at a place that he's always played well at with a lot of really slick, like that is sticky history right there. And you've got Minwoo, who I don't know, like probably can't tap into his best superpower around this place. And then you've got Sepp Straka and Daniel Berger, who are just kind of like perfect fits for this golf course. Yeah, I mean, I think I would just prefer those guys a little bit better. The 7K range, you're admittedly going to hear me say a lot of similar names that I've been saying all of 2025. Aaron Rai got off to a really good start last week, did not play well in the second and third round, but did finish very strong. And I mentioned this earlier or last week when I was talking about him as an option to be a top debutant. I didn't necessarily think that Augusta National was a great golf course for him, but I thought he would be able to kind of overcome that. Doesn't win the top debutant, that's fine, but he finishes T27 in his first trip around Augusta National. This is a better spot for him, right? This is the type of spot, you think of Sedgefield, where the reward of accuracy plus add in a little bit of distance plus the ball striking, this is such a better spot for him. So I'm going right back to Aaron Rai. He played here 2 years ago, was awesome off the tee, was awesome on approach. He picked up 7 strokes ball striking, lost 3 around the green, and lost 2 at the putter. I think he's better in those areas now. Certainly not the best in the world, but now he's a PGA Tour winner. That was 2 years ago. I can't even imagine how much his OWGR has increased since then. I wanted to see Poston. Okay, this is JT Poston. Again, on paper, excellent golf course for him. In reality, he has 4 top 8 finishes in his last 6 starts, and I think he's starting to heat up, or at least fix the putter. Now, he did lose strokes putting at the Masters, but it was marginal, a half a stroke. In fact, he lost strokes in all 4 categories, but the most he lost in any category over 4 rounds was 3/4 of a stroke around the green. So just that is a very just field average week is what JT Poston had. He's going to get to a smaller, slightly weaker, but it's going to be a strong field, but a weaker, smaller field this week that sets up much better for where he has a lot of good course history. We did not see Bud Cauley last week. So we've got a man who is $7,500 entering with 3 consecutive top 6 finishes in which the metrics that he is putting up are very strong. You look at the T6 that he had at the Players Championship and you say, oh man, yeah, he gained 5.5 strokes from tee to green, but he picked up 6 with the putter. That's probably not going to happen again. It didn't, but he continued to flush it. He only picked up 1 stroke putting at the Valspar and finished T4. Then he picks up 2 strokes putting at the Texas Open and finishes T5. So we are fully in like, okay, this is kind of real for Bud Cauley. The updates or the changes that he has made to the stat profile are splendid. He's played here a lot, but none of it has happened since 2020. So you can probably throw all of this out the window. Hasn't seen this course in 5 years competitively, but he's got some history around this place. It's a mixed bag. But yeah, this is a really, I think it's off the top of my head, he's easily the best golfer in the field who didn't play the Masters last week. Does that sound reasonable? The Harris English, I mean, remember, Harris English has won this year. Okay, Harris English is $7,200, has won this year. had that little slump after the win, which everybody does. And now he's starting to get back into form. Players was good. Houston was good. Masters was pretty great. He lost 2.5 strokes off the tee. A lot of that came on Friday, but started strong and finished strong. Now he goes to Harbortown. I'm sure he's played here a million times. He has. It's okay. Couple missed cuts, couple mostly like top 20 finish. Nothing crazy actually. His best finish is 20 where he finished T17. You would think his results would be better than that. I think Tom Hoagie's been in the optimal lineup like 3 weeks in a row. Don't quote me on that. I have to go back and check my email newsletters, but which just means he's being undervalued, right? And now he's $7,100. He was T3 at the Players, T5 at the Texas Open, T14 at the Masters, and I believe he was in the optimal lineup in all of those. Here's the really big telltale sign. After going from Pebble to Cognizant with a putter that looks like mine, he's fixed it. Plus 4.2, plus 2.4, plus 2, plus 2.6 in his last 4 starts. You're going to have a lot of short clubs in. You're going to have a lot of approach. Like if this is an approach and putting and driving accuracy type of contest, Tom Hoagie is pretty undervalued. His history here is not good, which is weird, right? Because that's the difference in course fit and course history. Course fit, he looks great. Course history, not so sharp. Anybody else here in the 7K range? Let's look at Will Zalatoris real quick. If you started a lineup like Scotty, Victor, Will Zalatoris, like you'd have 3 guys with what I think is a ton of win equity. Oh boy, has he played here before? He has to have. Yeah. Okay. So he played here last year, T44, not great. T42 in 2021. The putter's lost badly. The approach play is pretty darn good. Oh, I wish he was. This is actually a really tough one. Why is he playing so poorly? Or why are the results not there? It's just, it's just a bunch of T12 to T22, which I know isn't the worst of it, but it's Will Zalatoris. It's got to be better. I'm looking at this for the first time with you guys here. Maybe it's just the putter. I don't know. I might have to dig into that over the course of the week, but that is a very enticing price on him. $7,000. That is the cheapest he's been since 2024 BMW Championship, 2024 St. Jude. So basically the cheapest he's been since the playoff run last year. Is that deserving? He's been okay. I don't know. That's a weird one. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. We are about to find out a lot about Max Homa. I think we're going to find out, you can throw Max Homa into the mix. You can throw Sung J M into the mix. I want to know badly what they're going to do this week, right? Not playing well. All of a sudden they go nuts, but at a place that is very, very different. Augusta National is very, very different. Max Homa picked up 5 strokes putting last week, which is going to be, let's see. It's going to be his best putting week in a long time. And it's his best, it's like the 15th best of his career, right? So definitely on the higher side of things. Still lost strokes off the tee. He did hit his second shots better. In fact, he picked up strokes on approach all 4 days. That is a good sign. I will wait and see. I need one more week, especially because he's never putted well here. He's putted miserably here, in fact. His best finish here is a T41, and just the sheer difference from last week to this week. But I'm hoping, I love Max. I'm hoping that for everybody's sake, he is finding something. But I see a guy who, he's standing on the putting green with putter in hand, about to hit a 8-foot par putt or whatever, and he's using his putter and he's working on his full swing. He's trying to find his position. Like, whew, tough. I hope he finds it. I hope he did find it. Ryan Gerard, probably my favorite from the 6K range, all things considered. $6,600, didn't play the Masters, which again, you can argue is a good thing. I do not like that he picked up 12 strokes or 13 strokes in the short game at the Texas Open en route to that runner-up finish, but that was actually probably the outlier for him. The 9th place finish prior in Houston was a ball striking clinic. where he picked up 7.5 strokes on approach. And then if you go back to the start of 2025, he's missed one cut. It was in Puerto Rico, believe it or not, which is the weakest field he's played all year. But he's got a handful of top 25 finishes. He had the 3 in a row from Torrey Pines to PGA National. Now he's got the back-to-back top 10 finishes. And again, I think he is more profiling as a 1 stroke per round tee to green player, not as this great putter, though he's picked up strokes putting in like 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 8. I don't think he's going to pick up 7.5 again, but this is a really good stat profile for a guy who is only $6,600. I wanted to look at Cam Smith's profile as well, or I'm sorry, Cam Davis. Oh, I did it again. I do not do that. I never do that, and I just did it. We came from the Masters, had Cam Smith on the mind. I wanted to see if there was anything here. We talked a little bit about Cam Davis in the live chat last week. I love his history here. To me, he was always the guy that did not profile well for Harbortown, but played well there. Again, the difference between course fit and course history. And I'm looking to see if there's anything that we can get some positive traction with, and I'm not sure there is. He lost nearly 7 strokes on approach last week. I don't even care that he's lost strokes around the green in 5 straight. I really don't care about that. The tee to green numbers are very bad. The putter is struggling. Yeah, I was hoping to find something, and hopefully he finds something before we go back to Detroit here in a couple of what would that be? Probably in June at some point. But yeah, I was looking for something there. Is there anybody else, or is it time to run? It would be kind of interesting. Brian Campbell is like, if there was ever a golf course, could this be a spot for Brian Campbell? Has he ever played here? No, right? Okay. Man, he is just the accurate. He has to be, right? And then he's an okay enough approach player. Putting's pretty good. Short game's pretty good. If you wanted to take a flyer on Brian Campbell, I would not beat you. Oh my God, he's from Hilton Head. Oh man, we're really going to take a flyer on Brian Campbell, aren't we? He's from Hilton Head. He played with a marker on Sunday, I think. Beat the field by 4 strokes. Played well on. I mean, he really had one bad round. His bad round was Saturday. Everything else was really good. Okay, fine. Flyer on Brian Campbell. Let's see what the model has to say. So, custom model, RickRunGood.com. I don't think we need to do weighted strokes gained because these guys are all playing together all the time. But we will just put a baseline of like last 36 strokes gained total for 20 weights. Now what we are going to do is we have to load up on approach here. Isn't that like literally what the model says and what... So what I'm actually going to do is this. And I rarely do this, but I want to get freaky. I'm going to do like a tiered strokes gained approach. So I want like 40 weights on strokes gained approach. So we're going to put 10 on last 12, 10 on last 36, 10 on last 50, 10 on last 100. And I understand that is going to really hammer home approach, which is what I want. And but it's going to give us kind of a staggered, guy, like it'll still help guys that are just hitting it well now, but guys that have done it well for a long time get a little bit of a boost there. So I do like that. Driving wise, this is a great week for good drive percentage. So we're gonna put like 20 on good drive percentage. We're gonna put 10 on our very famous bonus putting. Or actually, no, let's do this. Let's do. Hold on a second. Let's do 10 on short courses. And then let's put 10 on Harbortown history. And our number one golfer is, Scotty Scheffler. Colin Morikawa is 2. Shane Lowry's 3. Tommy Fleetwood is 4. Straka, Berger, Henley, Spawn, Xander. Look at number 10. Bud Cauley. Yeah, probably a lot on approach here. And really, we're like quadruple counting it because it's being counted into total. We have 40 weights on some type of approach, but it is making up a large chunk of total. Interesting. JT on short courses, number 1 in the field. Patrick Cantlay on short courses, number 2 in the field. Scotty Scheffler's number 3. Russell Henley, number 5. Yeah. God, is JT going to win this thing? Kind of hope so. Kind of think he's going to. Okay, well, listen. Thank you all very much again. I've got to hit the road here. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, the Wednesday live chat, we're saying, screw it. We're going back to our day and time. We're going to do it right. I get a little inspired when I'm at the Masters and I see that everything is, product first and patron first. And honestly, that's the way it should be. It is just an immense attention to detail and an immense focus on doing everything the best. I love it. Nothing comes like the logo, like nothing comes ahead of the Masters, right? Like no individual person, no individual thing. It's just like, are we advancing the Masters or not? It'll be here. It was here long before we were here, and it will be here long after we're gone. That's the sense you get over there. It's really cool. Okay, enough of that. I'll need to hash this out with somebody probably on the second cut this week. Okay. Good luck this week. I'll talk to you guys soon.